This is me on a Tuesday night about to tell my wife the truth about $47,000 in secret debt. This is Sarah's face when I finally said the words I'd been hiding for 2 years. But here's what no one tells you about confession. Her reaction wasn't what I expected. What she said next didn't just change that night, it changed everything. Because this wasn't just about money. This was about the lies I'd been telling myself, the weight I'd been carrying alone, and the man I thought I had to be to deserve love. By the time that Tuesday night came, I wasn't just drowning in debt. I was drowning in the exhausting work of pretending everything was fine. The question you're probably asking is, how does a 42-year-old man hide nearly $50,000 in debt from the woman he sleeps next to every night? The answer is very carefully, and at the cost of everything that makes you human. But that Tuesday night, something cracked. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the way Sarah looked at me, not with suspicion, but with love I felt I didn't deserve. I whispered words I never thought I'd say. I'm in debt, we're in debt, and I can't fix it alone. What happened next will show you why the truth, even when it terrifies you, is the only way back to freedom. The debt didn't happen overnight. It started small, the way these things always do. A credit card here, a loan there, just to bridge the gap, I told myself. Just until the next promotion. Just until things got easier. But easier never came. I used to believe that strength meant control. That if I could keep smiling, if I could keep the bills paid, if I could keep everyone else calm, then I was strong. From the outside, it looked like I had it together. I was 42, married to a woman I adored, with a steady job, and a house that said, "This man knows what he's doing." But behind closed doors, I was losing a battle I refused to admit I was fighting. Instead, the gap grew wider. The minimum payments climbed higher, and the lies I told myself became more elaborate, more desperate. Every envelope that landed in the mailbox felt like a brick being added to the wall between who I pretended to be and who I really was. The numbers didn't add up anymore. My paycheck couldn't stretch to cover the debt I'd built, but admitting that felt impossible because it meant admitting I wasn't the man I'd promised Sarah I was when we got married. I told myself lies, the kind that sound like hope but taste like poison. Next month, I'll catch up. Next raise, next bonus, and it'll all be fine. But debt doesn't negotiate with hope. It multiplies. It grows fangs. The weight of the secret was changing me in ways I didn't even recognize at first. I stopped sleeping well. Every night, I'd lie awake calculating and recalculating, as if the numbers might magically change if I just thought about them hard enough. I became irritable with the kids over small things. When my daughter left the lights on, I'd snap about wasting electricity. When my son wanted a new video game, I'd launch into lectures about money that confused him. I became a master of deflection. When Sarah noticed I was stressed, I blamed work deadlines. When she asked why I checked the mail so urgently, I said I was expecting an important package. Every time Sarah asked, "Are you okay?" the words came out smooth, practiced, automatic. "Don't worry, I've got this." The truth? I didn't. I was drowning in deeper water every single day. The real breaking point wasn't a single moment. It was an accumulation of moments, like water slowly filling a dam until something has to give. That Tuesday night, I sat at the kitchen table with statements spread out like evidence of a crime I'd committed against my own family. The math was brutal, undeniable. We weren't just behind, we were sinking. That was the moment Sarah walked in. She froze when she saw the papers spread out. Her voice was calm, but I could hear the worry buried in it. "Is everything okay?" For a split second, I considered sweeping everything into a pile, hiding it again, buying myself another day, another week of pretending. The lie was right there, ready and waiting. "Don't worry, I've got this." But something inside me cracked. I lowered my head into my hands and whispered words I never thought I'd say. I'm in debt. We're in debt. And I can't fix it alone. The silence after those words was heavier than the debt itself. I braced myself for the worst, for anger, for disappointment, for the look that would tell me I'd failed as a husband, as a provider, as a man. But none of that came. Instead, Sarah sat down. She didn't yell, she didn't curse. Her voice trembled, but not with rage. She asked me one simple question. Why didn't you tell me sooner? And I couldn't look her in the eye when I answered. Because I didn't want you to see me fail. In that moment, I expected my world to collapse. But instead, something shifted. For the first time in years, I wasn't alone with it. The weight didn't vanish, but it felt lighter because someone else was finally holding it with me. Sarah's reaction taught me something I'd forgotten. Love doesn't run from truth. Love runs toward it. That night, we didn't fix the numbers, we didn't solve the problem, but we took the first real step toward freedom. We told the truth. The next morning was different. Not because the debt had disappeared. It was still there, still real, still daunting, but the shame that had been choking me for months was gone. Confession doesn't cancel debt. The bills were still there, collectors didn't care that I had finally been honest. But something fundamental had changed in me. Instead of shame fueling denial, truth fueled determination. Together, Sarah and I built a plan. Not a fantasy this time, but a real, practical, step-by-step strategy. The first few weeks after my confession were awkward in ways I hadn't expected. Sarah and I had been married for 15 years, but we'd never really talked about money. Not honestly. Now, suddenly we were sitting at that same kitchen table every Sunday morning going through every expense together. The plan wasn't pretty. We cut expenses down to the bone. We sold things we thought we needed but actually just wanted. Selling my guitar was the hardest. When the buyer came to pick it up, handing me $300 cash, I felt like I was selling a piece of myself. But Sarah squeezed my hand and whispered, "We'll buy it back someday, when we can afford to dream again." When our 8-year-old asked why we weren't going to Disney World that summer, like we'd promised, I had to explain that our family was working toward important goals, and that meant saying no to some things for a while. "Are we poor, Dad?" he asked with the kind of directness only children possess. "No, buddy. We're just being smarter with our money, so we can take care of our family better." Sarah took on extra freelance work. I picked up weekend shifts at a loading dock. Physical work that left me exhausted but somehow cleaner than the office job where I'd built this mess. About 2 months into our new plan, I had what I now call my relapse moment. I found myself standing in a Best Buy holding a tablet I didn't need, ready to put it on a credit card we'd sworn to cut up. For 15 minutes I stood there, feeling that familiar rush of anticipation that comes before a purchase. Instead, I called Sarah. "I'm about to buy something stupid," I told her. "How stupid?" $400 stupid. She said, "Come home." Simply. When I got home, Sarah was waiting with 2 cups of coffee. We didn't talk about the almost purchase. Instead, we just sat together, and I told her about my day. Really told her. "You know what I keep thinking about?" Sarah said after I finished. "That night when you finally told me about the debt, you said you didn't want me to see you fail. But I think I fell in love with you a little more that night." Why? Because for the first time in years, you let me see you. Not the version of you that had everything figured out, just you. Moments like that reminded me why we were fighting so hard. It wasn't just about the money, it was about getting back to each other. Month by month, payment by payment, the mountain shrank. But here's the deeper truth I discovered. The numbers weren't my real prison. My pride was. My silence was. My belief that being a man meant carrying everything alone was. Debt was the symptom, denial was the disease. The day I told the truth wasn't the day my debt disappeared. It was the day my shame lost its grip on me. 8 months after that Tuesday night confession, we made our final payment. But by then, the debt was just a number. The real transformation had already happened. We had learned to talk to each other, to trust each other, to share the weight of being a family instead of pretending one person could carry it all. Today, our debt is behind us, but that's not the real victory. The real victory is that I am not the man who hides anymore. I am the man who tells the truth, even when it's ugly, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it reveals that I don't have all the answers. When I'm stressed now, I say so. When I don't know something, I admit it. When I make mistakes, I own them quickly instead of covering them up slowly. And here's what I want you to hear. Your burden may not be debt. It may be shame. It may be an addiction. It may be a secret you've carried so long you've mistaken it for who you are. But whatever it is, I can promise you this: silence will not save you. Pretending will not protect you. The story you're telling yourself about what will happen when people know the truth, that story is almost certainly wrong. The truth will terrify you. It may break you wide open, but it is the only way you can be rebuilt. Because here's what I learned. We don't just carry secrets. Secrets carry us. They determine where we go, what we avoid, how we show up in the world. They make us smaller, quieter, more afraid. The day you tell the truth is the day you take your life back from your secrets. So maybe you're carrying a weight right now, a weight you pray no one ever discovers, a weight that whispers, if they knew, they'd leave. If they knew, they'd despise you. I believed that lie too, until the day I finally broke and discovered the opposite. The people who love you are stronger than you think. Your relationships are more resilient than your fear believes. And you are worthy of love, even when you're struggling, even when you're imperfect, even when you don't have it all figured out. The day I told the truth was the day I began to live free again. If you want freedom, it won't come from hiding. It won't come from pretending. It begins with one terrifying, liberating, beautiful step: speaking the truth. Because the truth may not erase the problem, but it will erase the chains you've wrapped around your heart. The day you tell the truth is the day you finally begin. Michael's story teaches us this: the prison we build with our secrets isn't made of steel, it's made of shame, and the key has been in our hands all along. Michael thought telling the truth would destroy his family. Instead, it saved them. He thought vulnerability would make him weak. Instead, it made him whole. Right now, you might be carrying your own weight. Maybe it's debt, addiction, or a fear so deep you've built your life around avoiding it. And that weight whispers, if they knew, they'd leave. Michael believed that lie too, until he discovered something beautiful. The people who truly love us aren't waiting for us to be perfect. They're waiting for us to be real. Your secret isn't protecting the people you love. It's robbing them of the chance to love the real you. If this story stirred something in your heart, share it in the comments. Your truth could be the lifeline someone else is praying for. Subscribe for weekly stories that remind us our lowest moments aren't our final chapters. They're the beginning of our comeback. Your turning point is waiting, and when it comes, you'll discover what Michael learned that Tuesday night. The truth will break your heart open wide enough to let the love in. The day you tell your truth is the day you begin to live again.